I'm Tiffany with O'Kelly and Sorhan, if I don't know you. And today I am going to go over GSCCCA and GIS. The point behind this, I like to give kind of like a disclaimer, is not to turn you guys into title examiners. I'm not a title examiner. I don't think I can, I've been trained to, but we still, so as wonderful as all these systems are, the title standards in Georgia require we do a full 50-year search at the courthouse. We still do that on every transaction. What this is about is trying to help you guys find information on property or deeds that you're looking for. If I would say probably 8 out of 10 questions I get are, hey, Tiffany, can you help me find a deed? Hey, Tiffany, do you think there's any liens on this property? Is this person's husband or spouse that on title with them, they can't remember? So just all those little questions that kind of help you, prepare for your listings and everything. I am a firm believer, I was a real estate agent before I went back to law school, that you should never go on a listing appointment without a copy of the deed, the most recent deed. That is how you know you're talking to the right people and all of the right people. So if there are dead people, if there are divorced people, if there are people who are married and change their name, so that you start off from the scratch. And I think it just shows that you've done your work if you show up at a listing appointment and say, I've pulled your teeth, you know what I mean? Like I've looked at your property, I know what I'm talking about. So that's going to be the first part. And then also how to use GIS to find out things like if properties are septic or sewer, lot lines, things like that. I don't use slides. I just kind of like go through some of the most recent ones that I've been asked to check. So I have like screenshots on my phone of good ones that are lately. But just so if everyone in here, is anybody here not used GSCCCA ever? Okay, lots of hands. So I'm going to go like the very basic. Sorry for you guys who used all that. So GSCCCA is the website. It's .org. It's the Georgia Superior Court Clerks Cooperative Authority. And so what this is a database of every single county in Georgia. The clerk of courts have uploaded their deeds. And so it's a wonderful resource. It is free as long as you don't print. So you can register, have an account. As soon as you print, it's 50 cents a page. But in order to just look at it, and I wouldn't encourage you to do this, but some people take screenshots versus printing. And you can look for any type of real estate record or lien record. So just a very basic search here I'm going to show you is just the real estate index. So when you go there, you can do either a name search or a book and page search. Property search is misleading. Don't ever try that. It's a bunch of garbage. You can't search by street address. So you would have to know like the lot number, the subdivision name, exactly how it appears. It's really hard. So if you don't know the name of the owner, and I'll show you when we get to GIS, I go to GIS first, type in the owner name, then get the street address, get the owner name, and then come back here. But assuming you know who you're looking for, you can either go to name search or book and page search. So I'm going to start in name search, and then you just scroll down. So what you can do is look for individual parties. So say you're looking for only if they've sold or only if they've received, grantor or grantee. I never limit it because I'm just curious and I want to see everything that's recorded against somebody. Unless I'm dealing with a name like John Jones, I don't limit the instruments just because sometimes I find something that I'm not even looking for. But you can limit the instruments to like bankruptcy documents, a sheriff's deed, trustee's deed, anything like that. Generally, I just leave it on all instruments. The county in there too. Huh? The lien? Nope. We're going to go through the liens in a minute. Sorry, let me backtrack. Some liens are in here, like HOA liens, property tax liens will be in this index, but we're going to go over how to look for the other ones. So the county is really important because if you,
I'm sorry, and the declarations and stuff are here. Like if you're trying to find that and can't get that, you can get that here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yep, I'm going to show you that too. So in all counties, you don't want to do that. So definitely limit your county. And so I'm just going to go to Gwinnett. And what's cool here is you can display county index data good from, good through dates. So what this tells you is how updated the records are. So Gwinnett is the oldest in the state, so it's great. I mean, it goes back the furthest in the state. Their deed records online go back to 1871. So if you can't find it on here, you're not going to find it. And it tells you how behind they are. So 6 days behind means today's a Tuesday. anything that closed after last Monday or anything that was recorded after last Monday is not going to show up here. So if they had a closing last week, if they took out a loan last week, anything like that, that's how far behind. During COVID, you would see this get up to like 60 and 70 days. It was ridiculous.
Tiffany, do they carry the electronic records on their way back? Because I've seen that there's like a limit.
It depends on the county.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back to this. It will show you because like Hall County drives me nuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hall County's really bad. And they still have microfiche.
If you go to display the good through dates for all counties, it'll show you the whole state. And so like Hall, you can see is 86, which is really not. I'm constantly looking for something.
So really on these, like, for example, Irwin, Jackson, that's 87, 89. We can find records back to that date
And that's
here, but else, I mean, if we went to the
And
county.
the courthouse has got, yeah.
Okay.
Back to the-
I just want to make sure I wasn't missing.
And so if you're looking for something before then, which I am regularly, at least once a week, I just have to email my examiners and say, hey, I'm looking for a deed that's older than this. Can you pull deed book and page this next time you're in Hall County or Jackson County, wherever you are. But yeah, Hall actually was only into the 90s until last year, and they finally updated to 86. But yeah, I'm constantly looking for things older than that. So we're gonna go back. So I'm gonna go back to limiting it to Gwinnett. And we're gonna try and pull, we know that my husband owns a house. So we're gonna try, I use his name because every affidavit I've ever signed comes up. So I have like hundreds. So. You always go last name, comma first. No. Okay, I did CrossFit this morning. My arms are like. Oh, come on. If they change the password on you, of course.
Like I am not a robot.
You want to send it on mine?
I was gonna say.
Oh,
You gotta click on, I'm not
Oh,
a robot.
sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
go back to your first one, then click on
Yeah.
that.
Okay, this is not how it's supposed to go. OS law. Let's go to the delete again. Ah, okay. Yes, we're saving it. Don't use it. Okay, so you can change how many results per page. So a lot of times I'll search a name and they've owned a ton. So I just always do 100 because I like to see everything. And you can see, okay, Jason P. McWhorter. We're going to select him, display details, and then you can see everything that is in his name. So a warranty deed is going to be your vesting deed. Security deed is going to be a loan document. Warranty deed is going to be another vesting deed, a cancellation of a loan, and an easement. And so if you are looking for your deed, this is what you would pull. And I always go to the bottom and say, okay, there's been no other deeds past this one. This is actually for a different property. So if you're looking for my house, you would come here, click that, and you can see who the seller was, who the owners are, and you can do view image and CRD. So this is going to have all your information, like we bought in 2012, got your legal description, everything that you need. If you are looking for just the legal description, like you don't want to type it out and you just need the legal description printed, 9 times out of 10, the next deed behind the warranty deed is going to be the security deed, which is the loan that we took to purchase the house. And if you go to the end of the security deeds, there is always an attachment. I do this all the time when I just need a legal. Well, there should have been a legal in my, there. And so it's just the legal description. See how like, if you don't want like all the garbage from the deed. That's it. I mean, his is really simple to find. The other cool thing you can do once you're in here is click on PT61. So the PT61 is what our office has to complete and submit with the deeds when we file them. And once it's filed, the clerk then sends the PT61 to the tax office with a copy of the filed deed. And this is what updates the tax records. And so you'll hear me ask at closing, like, do you want to use the property address as your mailing address? Because a lot of times if it's investment property or there's no home there, they want to use a separate mailing address. You can look and see here if it's the separate mailing address. So like for us, the mailing address for us is the property address. But if you look here and this is the property address and there's a separate mailing address, that's a great way to find out if it's not owner occupied or if the owners live in another state. Unfortunately, that also gives fraudsters the address that they're looking for when they're trying to pretend like they own property. And so, but that's that. You can always look at the value, and you can do that on the deed also to see what was paid. So if you're looking at an off-market sale or something like that, the transfer tax is always $1 per thousand of the sales price. So you can say you paid $310. And the other thing I was going to show you on the deed is if one of us were deceased, this is what you would be looking for, is that as joint tenants with right to survivorship. So if anything happened to either one of us, title would automatically vest in the other. So we wouldn't have to go through probate and all that. That is the standard in Georgia. It has been since the 90s. But during the down market, Fannie, Freddie, and HUD were terrible about not doing that on their deeds. And so I've run into so many people who bought, you know, in the mid 2000s and just assumed they had joint tenants with rights to survivorship because that's how every house they'd ever owned was, and they didn't. So that's a great touch with your clients. Also, if you just want to check and make sure how you hold title. But
Is that a hard thing to add?
it's no, it's $150 to get a paper deed and just transfer it. Mm-hmm. So everything looks good on us. So if I were just checking it out to go on a listing appointment, I would say, okay, good. These two are on title. I've got a copy of the deed. Looks like there's this loan was canceled because we refinanced. And the other loan is showing in his full name. So
Tiffany, quick question for you. These are simple things, but like on my screen, it's showing 2 of the 5 records as opposed to you're showing 5. Is that just because of the size
are you
of the
in
screen?
his full name or?
No, I'm on GSCCCA.
Do you
Well,
have
same one you are.
all instruments?
Well, it's just showing me different pages. Like, for example, when I view image, it shows me the 5 documents, right? You've got 5, you've got them on one page. I don't know why mine always splits them up like that.
Results per page right here.
That's what it is. Right, so I've got one other real simple question too. I've had to print these before. Sometimes I'll save them as PDFs or whatever, but I can only print one page at a time. You showed us this once before. How do I do that? Where I print the whole, like if I want 4 pages of it.
So I'm going to go to the security deed because it's multiple pages. View image. Print. This is going to cost me to show you.
Okay.
As soon as you click this button.
Oh yeah, I know. It's gonna be what, 10 cents a page?
50.
It used to be
50 cents.
Number of pages, yeah.
So number of pages, you would count out how many you need and do 4, 5, 10.
So what you're saying is I need to just read.
You need to play with this.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect.
You know what RDR means, right? Realtors don't read.
That makes me feel better about when I send emails that are like, please read all of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Quick question, and maybe this is for another class, but like if you have multiple people on the deed, can you do a joint tenant with right of survivorship, or does that become like, do you have more than 2? And
only thing is, like, if there was 3 people, me, my mom, and my husband, and one of us died, then it extinguishes the joint tenancy for the rest of it. So then you would need to redo it for the remaining.
that makes sense. Okay, all right.
All right, so I'm gonna go to his full name, display details. And you can see, so our security deed if you only looked at his name the other way, you wouldn't see our most recent security deed from when we refinanced in 2015. And that one's canceled too. All right, I need to make sure, maybe we don't have a loan anymore.
Figure some stuff out.
That is funny.
It's your birthday present.
No kidding. I don't think Rocket Mortgage is gonna agree with me. Okay, but I wanted to show you this. So this is a different property. If you click in this one, you can see, it's just a different property, but if there's a plat that's referenced, that's cross-referenced, you can go directly to that, which is nice. What's funny is that this is the wrong plat. So they referenced it, but it's wrong. And the clerks make mistakes all the time, but if you are looking for a plat and it's cross-referenced, it's a lot easier because you can just do view image. And we own some property on Shoal Creek Road, which is very close to here, but not that. But I want to show you how to look in the plat index also. So that's really it. As far as what you would be looking for individuals. I'm going to go back and do a search for covenants because that's the other thing that I look for the most in here. Okay, well, let's just go to real estate, make a search. So I'm going to search my subdivision. And you can see like this is probably like deeds for common property, stuff like that. But if you see homeowners association, you can click in there, display details.
Do you start out search and then you did another tab or just under search?
I just did search. And then you can pull up the
Bless you.
covenants.
Bless you.
What's great about the covenants is most of them in the big neighborhoods have an index. So you can see like what you're looking for. If you're looking for occupancy restrictions or common property assessments, rental use restrictions, because that would be in here. And then just go to the corresponding page and get whatever you're looking for. So you don't have to print out because this is really long. I would give you if the subdivision name, like if you didn't do a space in the shadow stone, it's like it wouldn't come up. So it's sometimes a little tricky. Just play with it if you're not finding it. And so I'm going to go to plat now. So you go to your name search. It's much easier if you go to the deed and get the plat book and page and do a book and page search for a plat versus a name search, because most plats don't reference the name that you're looking for. Like our neighborhood plat references the developer's individual name, not Shadowstone. I always use a builder that I work with a lot as my example because I know she's got a bunch of them. So I limited it again just by county to all instruments, and I'm going to name, and you can see that there's some plats individually. And then you can pull up your plat. And that's what's going to give you like all the actual lot lines and everything like that. It's got your setbacks. A plat's just a recorded survey that has been approved by the county. When you go to the courthouse, there are two different sets of indexes. So everything that we've done so far has been in the real estate index. The other is the lien index. In the real estate index, you're recording things against the property directly. In the lien index, you're recording things against the person directly. So I equate it to like throwing Post-its against a wall and seeing if something sticks with the lien index. So if I don't pay my American Express bill and they sue me and they get a judgment lien, which is called a FIFE, they record it in the lien index in the county where they think I might own property, and then it would attach to any property I own and what I think. So this one attaches to the person's name and anything they own, versus in the real estate records, my security deed for my residential home doesn't attach to our vacant land. You know what I mean? So if you go to lien, same thing, name search. I'm going to go to all instruments, counties. And I'm going to use this name that somebody asked me about last week because it was a good name.
Bob's name, I'm sure you get it.
You know what? Okay, we're gonna do that in just a second. Because I'm gonna show you how to get, I didn't even know what county his property was in with the question that I got. So let's search Jason, just for, you can see what it looks like. He's not gonna have any, that's great. If you do a very common name, you're gonna see a ton. So it's good to have, like, you know, if you know their middle initial or anything like that. And this is why when we call your clients and say, hey, we need your social security number because your name's Jason Smith and there's no middle initial and title, and we found 42 possible liens, we have to clear every single one of these. And so, like, this is 91, that's expired. But just to go, this one would be good for 7 years. We have to go in, this is, well, actually, this one's good for 20 years because it's a Georgia Department of Revenue. So you go in, see if it's been released. This one's actually been canceled. That's great. I'm going to try and find a more recent one that's not canceled. Okay, so this is a tax lien. And if I open this, I would say, okay, they haven't paid their 2022 boat taxes. And with tax liens that are this recent, then if they haven't paid 22, I also assume they haven't paid 23 and 24. So that triggers me to go dig a little deeper and see what else they have to pay. Oh, and you'll see, I mean, some of the craziest stuff you can imagine here. I want to pull one that's just a traditional FIFO though. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, like Citibank. I was talking about American Express. So if we pull something like this, it's against a Jason Smith. It is the most generic looking thing you've ever seen in your life. There's no details other than the case number. So a lot of times we have to take this case number and we use a separate system that we pay for access that we can pull cases to get more details. But the name of the plaintiff's attorney is on here. That is often changed, but it's got a phone number where we can call and get a payoff. It gives you the starting balance, but then from here would be interest, penalties, attorney fees, all that kind of stuff. But this is literally all we have to work with. So we would call this office and say, hey, we're doing closing for a Jason Smith. We have the last four of his social. Can we verify if it's the same as yours? And that's how we clear it. And you can imagine how much my title clerks love common names because they end up calling a lot. But that's if you're looking for things like, I don't know if my subcontractor filed a lien against the property or anything like that. This is where those would show up.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
It's a little bit, back to the HOA one.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to find out if the HOA has, I had a client that was trying to buy something in a, townhouse community, but they wanted to know all this information, of course, to make sure, did they have like these assessments that are coming up or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not explaining it well, but.
So the covenants
Is that
are a
on
great
here too?
start. That would be
Okay.
like what they're allowed to do, but you're not going to get things like specific yearly dues. If there's any special assessments, anything like that, you would have to
Gotcha.
because that changes yearly.
But would you be able to find out if there was a lien, say, against that particular townhouse that they were about to buy? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go to GIS now and kind of walk you through like an email I got. He is going on a listing appointment for this property, and he's like, I think that I see a bunch of liens, but I don't know what to do if they're attached to anything like that. Did not tell me the name of the owner, so I only have a street address. So that's when I would go to GIS. And every county in Georgia has GIS. A lot of times you'll see it as QPublic, QPublic GIS. So I'm going to open the browser. And going into this, like I said, all I have is a property address from the email I got. So it's gonna take me, it's gonna highlight the property that I searched, which is great. And we're gonna go into more detail on that in just a minute, but now that I'm here, if I click on this hyperlink, it's gonna give me all the information. So I can see the tax parcel, the owner's name, all that. I'm supposed to be able to see the owner's name.
Under services when you went on GIS?
That I just went directly to the tax assessor because that wasn't showing me everything. So I know this guy's name is Mark Kincaid. What's cool on the tax assessor's website is you can scroll down and see the transfer history. So when I said it's really easy to pull things by deed book and page, all right.
You can talk about everything you do.
Okay, hey, let me just go. Let me stick with what I'm
The
doing.
debug is on the first line.
Yeah, so it'll show you over here, but there's normally some more information over here, like sales price and stuff, but this looks like it's all just been within the family because it's all the same last name. But this would be the most recent deed book and page. But we're gonna look for Mr. Mark Kincaid. And I normally just like copy and paste, so I know I make sure I get the name exactly right. And go back over here, and he was worried about lien. So I'm gonna go to lien search. And you'll see, oh goodness, Mark's got 8 liens. That's what made this agent email me because he was nervous. But once I opened it up, I was like, oh, no big deal. There's 3 liens, but then there's 3 cancellations. So you can really tell the difference when you're just looking at the numbers. So all of those had been canceled. I opened them up and just made sure these were all cross-referenced correctly. So that was great. But this last one, or last 2, you'll see we opened up, and this was Gwinnett County, so it was a tax bill. And the same thing here. So I pulled this and I was like, all right, well, if he hasn't paid his 23 taxes, then he probably hasn't paid his 24 taxes. And that was true. And so on the tax commissioner's website, I could get the payoff amounts for both of those. And then the only thing that was a big problem was this last guy. Nope. Sorry, the glare is bad. I thought he had a real lien. Maybe not. Okay. We did search in real estate also because I just. So this, I would look at both of those because it's his full name and just his name. A notice, what's that? So this is a UCC. That means that they've got a lien against the fixtures on the property. Here's a security deed. But I liked this one because it shows you what an individual security deed looks like. So this is clearly not something that came from Bank of America. It was written by the person who he owes money to, and this was for $15,000. So this would have to be paid at the time of closing. It looks like he just borrowed money from a friend or family member, and they typed up something really simple, but that sticks against your property. Whoopsie. And there's your, yeah.
Is that where you find like a mechanic's lien as well, or something?
On GIS, let me go back there. You can layer all these different kinds of layers. So I like doing the utility one.
What did you, how did you get to this screen?
Oh, I just searched Gwinnett County GIS.
Right, and then that didn't pop up when I.
No, it doesn't. Hang on. Let's search. All these are tabbed at my. So just GIS and land. maps. And then I did open GIS data browser. I'm actually going to search my property because here's my property. You can see the property lines, all that. If you go to the layers list, you can layer utilities. Sewer. Oh. And then I'm going to go to. Let me go back. Aerial images. This is what I was. Sorry. You can pick which year you're looking for. So I'm going to do aerial images also. And so now you're actually looking at what, bird's eye view. These green right there, you didn't see it when it happened, but if I take away sewer and then put it back on, you can see that we're connected to sewer. If it was on a septic tank, it would show you that it was a septic tank. So that's a big question, especially with FHA loans and a lot of people on sewer. It tells you the street number, tax parcel. This is a good way to look. These are not 100% accurate. My landline, my lot line's not as close to my neighbor's property as it makes. It's not a survey, it's just the tax lines. But that's really good. This is also how I go about if somebody's like, I know I have a listing and 2 houses down. It looks like there's a for sale by owner. Can you help me find out any information about that house? Well, once I'm into the house that I know the information on, all I have to do is click on this. And then it's like, okay, cool, we can get the information on the house. So this is that property address. There's the owner. Used to be Phil Williams. And you can go from there. All that is.
You saw that?
Yeah, Teresa did.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, that's how I go about if somebody's like, I need more information, but I don't know anything about the property. I started GIS and then I would take those names and go to the GSCCCA and go from there.
Is this what we would use also if we needed to see like maybe something with the septic tank, like where it is?
Yeah, the septic plat, like how do we get the septic plat?
You're not going to see that online.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We can't get the PDF. I thought we could.
Maybe.
I've pulled it at some point. I always have a hard time getting in there.
Okay.
Hall County, you can't, but I've done it in Gwinnett.
Okay.
Hall County, you have to pull your.
You have to go
You have to go
to
down. there and
Heritage,
pull it.
the
Yeah.
environmental heritage center.
Because this will tell you like if it's a septic lot or not. But I've never had much luck
Yeah,
pulling the actual.
I've pulled it before. Yeah.
I'll try
I've
and find
pulled
out.
the septic, yeah.
Yeah.
I always have to get in here and kind of play around to find it.
Find it. Yeah.
I was hoping
But it's
that's
on
what you were
this
gonna show
one
us.
site.
Yeah.
It's on this one.
It's on GIS, but you have to kind of go in there and play around.
And just know with those septic maps, like that's where the county approved it.
Right.
That does not mean much with some properties. I think that's where they said, yes, you can put your septic tank right here. That's not always with the septic tank.
Usually it's a hand-drawn,
Yeah.
like hand-drawn thing, so.
But that's really it. I know it's a lot, but I mean, I'm on both of these. Like these tabs stay open all day long, I guess, because I'm constantly looking for one or the other. The more you use it, the better it is. Things like Realist or even Zillow, all they're doing is pulling information from these 2 websites. So they pull it, organize it a little better. But if you're not finding something on Realist, I always say go directly to the tax commissioner or tax assessor. And GSCCCA is the actual clerk's record, so you can't get much more accurate than that. I think that we will eventually get to a point where we're only doing online searches, but it's gonna take all those counties updating all their records before we can do that. So. Because it seems kind of archaic that we still send somebody to a courthouse and they're looking through books, but, that's where we are still. Do y'all have any other questions? I know that was a lot in just a few minutes, but the more you go in there and play, search your own name, search your neighbors. This is how I find addresses for Christmas cards that I shouldn't give the address. And I
Yes.
find out all the information.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy question, but what happened if some of this game?
Yeah, hopefully you bought title
Or-
insurance.
Yeah.
Yep. And so what our E&O insurance covers is mistakes that we make directly. So if I just didn't do a title search and close a property, like that would go back on our E&O. But if we do a title search, we do everything right, and our examiner just missed something, or it was indexed incorrectly and it couldn't be found, that's when your title insurance comes. Thank you guys. I hope that was helpful.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You have that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is there a fee for that, Tiffany?
The fee to create an account is just if you do the pro or if you.
Okay.